Alyssa, big week this week. Batting cleanup. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Like I already said, Alyssa, it's a big week. It's LSU week. There's corn dogs. There's possums. There's a lot that go into this that I'm now just learning about, which is very, very fun and very, very funny. But it's a top 10 ranked matchup here in Fayetteville. Like I said, it's batting cleanup. That's Alyssa Orange. I'm Evan Kamiko. Alyssa, let's dive right into it. Fun week. And it's opening day for the MLB.
It always is. It is. I see you have your old school Cubs hat on today.
Actually, this is the hat of the week is the gold collection hat from 2016.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
So championship. The Rangers will be wearing their gold tonight. So I figured I'll throw out the Cubs gold. But we also have a double hat of the week because this morning I did wear our little new Pig Trail Nation. So I'm going to put that one on because
how'd it do?
It makes.
Good.
Am I good?
No, your hat.
Oh, the hat did. The hat was great. The hat was great. Very lightweight. Very. You can kind of like see through it a little bit, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's very breathable, very lightweight. I do like the adjustable because I did have to adjust it. But I'm more of like a snapback fan than a Velcro fan. But I like the Velcro feel. It's not bad.
Yeah, I didn't pick it. I just said these look great, and they weren't trucker hats where you make your forehead look this big, and I was good.
I'm not a big fan. I don't know about you about the mesh hats. Like the MLB the last couple of years for spring training did like the mesh webbing instead. And, well, one, it was funny seeing all of the players who were bald with just the tan lines of mesh. And you could see like half their head is bald and half of it isn't. But I think that material is not my favorite. Before we dive into LSU.
I know. I liked. I'm a good old cotton hat kind of girl. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
The Cubs one is cotton hat. Like I said, it's the gold collection one.
Nice.
One of like the 3 postseason hats that I have from 2016, but the Cubs haven't really made the postseason since 2016. So hopefully this is the year they face the Rangers tonight on ESPN at 6:30.
I don't know what that life is like.
Yeah, it must be nice when your team can shell out millions of dollars. Except, I mean, Shohei Ohtani out saying last week that he's UNC -4.
You're ridiculous.
I know.
Ridiculous.
Well, I just had to get a little bit of a jab there.
Thank you.
You can spend all the money you want. You'll still collapse to the Arizona Diamondbacks in October and won't win a ring. Okay. The only ring the Dodgers have is a Mickey Mouse ring.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So let's talk LSU.
LSU. Great. He just, this is day one of, it's really weird opening day. Dodgers are 1-1. Just you forget. Oh yeah, they played in Korea. But yeah, let's talk LSU because this is a series that I've always loved every single year. Just because it's fun and it's kind of like the Ole Miss series for me, where I think the Ole Miss series is a little more feisty. There's a little bit more of a trash talking, where with this LSU series, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's what makes it so fun. And every year, despite what the rosters look like or the rankings look like something surprising happens. Arkansas goes down and wins game 1, but then gets blown out in the last 2. But the way that they won that first game was awesome, and a lot of home runs in that game. And then they come back up here. And so you hope that these guys can just kind of take care of business. I don't want it to be a 1-0 win again. I mean, I'll take it. But, giving Hagen Smith some run support, hey, offense, give Hagen Smith some run support.
Yeah, and it's funny because they did give, the pitchers a run support in game 2 and game 3. But game 1 was that 1-0 win on Friday night. And even earlier this week, Ben Bobby, he got, 11 runs when he picked up the win against Little Rock. But yeah, that's the interesting thing of how's the offense going to look tonight. We don't necessarily, I wouldn't say we don't know, but it was finally announced who the pitcher was today for LSU, and that's Javin Coleman. He's only pitched, 15.2 innings, 3 starts, 4.6 ERA. So he's going to give up some runs, and that's kind of an interesting, thing where they have Luke Holman, their ace, who threw, 6 innings of 1 hit ball or one run ball last week against Florida. And they're kind of saving him for game 2. And before we really dive in the pitching matchup and all of that tonight, do you have any fun LSU stories of games that you've been in person there to cover?
Man, I don't know if I have any fun stories per se. I mean, again, the rally possum is the first thing that pops into my head, but that was at LSU. And I just remember sitting in the office with Mike and it just being like, what is happening? What is happening? I mean, they were up 9-1, and then this little baby possum shows up and they're trying to wrangle him. And then all of a sudden LSU storms back and they're able to win that game. And you just look at yourself like, what in the world? And that was, that was 2016. And, that was also the year when you look back at it retrospectively, that they didn't even make the SEC tournament. And so it was kind of like a microcosm of the season happening right there on the field at LSU with this rally possum. And so I know Arkansas fans don't like to talk about the rally possum. I think it's kind of, it's a good reminder of don't let it happen again. But you've always had fun. And I'm not someone who grew up as a Razorback fan who hated LSU. I don't have that LSU hatred or that Texas hatred like deep down inside of me, but I understand it. And I think for Arkansas fans, if you were to ask what's the one team they want to beat all year long, it's LSU. And that passion in the stands shows up. So even if the game doesn't have these crazy theatrics or some rodent running around, the atmosphere around these LSU games is always just really fun.
And I know that we haven't really talked about it on Batting Cleanup yet, but we've talked about it elsewhere and other things that we do at work. But that, LSU Arkansas quote unquote baseball rivalry, it's not going to be picked up full time now by the SEC. They picked up Ole Miss and Mizzou as that, year to year now baseball series. And that's going to be something that'll be fun to watch because LSU, again, mountaintop last year, defending national champs. And now Arkansas might not see them in 2025. And that could be a shame. So this really could be the last time Hog fans get to see this rivalry until 2026 at the earliest.
Well, and we just know that it's not going to be consistent every year. And I think that's the biggest thing is maybe it is on the 2025, but it won't be on 26 or 27. And then you don't see them till 28. And that's the big thing that I hate is that you don't know when LSU is going to show back up on your schedule with the way that they've done this. And that's disappointing for me, who has been covering this team now, for 11 seasons, that I always loved that Ole Miss and those LSU series. And I wish that the three of them were each other's opponents. I think that would have been a lot of fun. But the league did what they did because they keep trying to push this Missouri rivalry, and that's fine too. And you hope that maybe you see them, like, even though they didn't give them a permanent opponent, LSU, that we at least see them every other year, because it would be really nice for Arkansas to kind of still keep that rivalry going.
And even 3 or 4 years, you'd still take that in a heartbeat. And look, this is an LSU team this year. No Dylan Cruz, no Paul Skeens. Those guys went 1-3 in the MLB draft, 1-2, I think. So it's going to be a new look LSU team that walks in, but still top 10. They struggled recently. I don't think their current record is overly that good right now when it comes to their first 2 SEC series. But you look at this LSU team, they're going to walk in Friday night. Tonight, because I'm thinking it's Friday because I've been up since 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning. But you look at this kind of game 1 tonight, and you scratch your head a bit because you got Hagen Smith. His K count is up to 62. I don't know if it's fixed in here. No, our K count still says it's 50. So we're gonna clean that up in post for next week for you guys. But and now he's going to go against Coleman, who's a guy who has a +4 ERA and somebody who kind of seems like you don't want to throw Holman against Hagen Smith, which is a bit of a tragedy for college baseball fans because you always want your ones to pitch against each other on Friday night. But now they're not. The one's going to go tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be Mason Molina. That's probably the biggest story this week for the Hogs, is that it's Mason Molina on game 2 and not Brady Tiger.
Yeah, you always kind of see with these Thursday, Friday, Saturday matchups what these managers are going to do with their clubs, and you look at what obviously Coach Johnson's decided to do was give his Friday guy the same amount of rest that he would if it were a normal week instead of going a day early. Clearly, Dave Van Horn and Matt Hobbs have enough confidence with Hagen Smith that he can go on a Thursday, but because he went on a Thursday last week, so he's got the same amount of rest. He's not on short rest. But you also wonder if you're looking at this strategically, like, okay, maybe we just give Arkansas game 1 with Hagen Smith on the mound. Where can we steal 2 wins? And maybe that's on Friday, Saturday, and the second and third games. There's always that chess match strategic also while you're looking at the arms you have and making sure that you're giving guys ample amount of rest. So it's always really interesting how these all unfold. I think Brady Tigert is a little bit more of a Dave just kind of looking out for Brady than anything else, though.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned about that. Dave said the other day that, he expects Tigert to be a full go and that it's nothing besides giving him an extra day of rest, letting him get settled. We've seen Brady kind of lose his fastball command the last couple of weeks. That's kind of been the weakness for Brady of, first couple of innings, he's looking solid, rock solid, and then, he loses that fastball velocity, ticks down a little bit, which you don't really get concerned about. That's just typically what happens in a baseball game. And the command kind of goes elsewhere a little bit, and really around that fourth or fifth inning. And again, it's going to come down to what happens tonight, I think, and where the bullpen's at, because you get Ben Bybee back, who came off a really good game on Tuesday, 3 innings. But, last week you had Gackle and Will McIntyre as your Friday night recipe for Hagen, Will, Gackle. And then you saw Gackle later in that weekend against Auburn, and he ended up getting shelled. So did Cooper Dossett. So, it's really kind of attrition at this point of who's going to step up. And interesting that we haven't seen a lot of Jake Faraday recently. And he was somebody who Dave threw in that what was it? It was Oregon State, and he ended up getting that save. And it was a really big moment for him. And he's kind of, gone down that list of pitchers that DVH starts to bring in. So I'll be curious how kind of the bullpen shakes out this weekend for Arkansas.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think you have a lot of arms you could go to, but again, you threw out the freshmen last week, and they had that 1 inning Auburn did that kind of opened up that game for them in game 3. So maybe you go back to Jake Faraday, who kind of got rocked a little bit against Oklahoma State a few nights after that Oregon State game. And so, yeah, you've got a lot of options. And now that you've got Cooper Dossett, and you've got, like you mentioned, Ben Bybee, you've got options right now. Like, what do you do with Will McIntyre? Like, I still think that's kind of the thing, is like, what is Will McIntyre's role exactly? Is he like that first reliever guy, or is he like, he's that third guy, but you don't need to bring in, your closer, because you've got a comfortable lead. You can just bring in Will McIntyre to end the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what exactly is he kind of the Swiss Army knife of the pitching staff right now, where we're just going to use Will when, because he can start too. And he's done a really good job as a starter in his career at Arkansas. So there's a lot of questions. But the good thing is that they have the options, and they didn't have those options last year. They struggled a little bit because they did have some young arms, and then they had those injuries that, like, what would this staff would have been if they still had Jackson Wiggins, and Jackson Wiggins didn't get hurt, and where would the depth have been if they had that for regionals? Where would that team have gone? So at this point, I don't really want to question anything. You just kind of look at this team and say, thank gosh they're healthy right now, and they stay healthy. And hopefully, whoever they put out there is okay, because it's just going to pay dividends long term. And
Jackson Wiggins, 2nd-round pick to my Chicago Cubs last year in the MLB draft. So another fun Chicago connection when we talk about all these pro hogs in Chicago. There's just a ton of them. But I think, again, it's going to be navigating this LSU lineup that's featured with Tommy White and Tommy Tanks, as he's known on the internet. A lot of fame there for that nickname and what he did in the College Baseball World Series last year. And Hayden Travinsky, the catcher. 2 really good guys and that have, a lot of potential and a lot of pop, and, 20, 30 RBIs for each of them so far. So it's a tough lineup. And kind of on the flip side, you look at Arkansas versus the LSU bullpen, and DVH was talking about this. It's a very lefty-heavy bullpen for LSU. There's a lot of left-handed pitchers there, and there's a lot of left-handed bats for this Arkansas lineup, and Stovall and McLaughlin and Kendall Diggs right off the bat. Really, Vahiva Aloy is that top 4 right-handed hitter for them. So that'll be really interesting to see how it plays out, because those guys, the top 4 right now, are swinging the bat really well for Arkansas.
Yeah, they really are, which is what you want and what you want to see. I remember there was a lull with this baseball team where the top of their lineup really wasn't giving them a whole lot of production, and production was coming at the bottom of their lineup. So to see it now hitting the way that they are, especially when, again, you get the sweep over Missouri, you get the win, you get the series win against Auburn, though you drop the third game. Like, these LSU series, this Ole Miss series, Mississippi State's, those are the ones that you really want to win when you're looking at from a fan perspective. And I know that the baseball team does too, but you get hyped for these games. This is a big series for Peyton Stovall. It always has been, because he's from Louisiana and he decided to come to Arkansas, and he was one of the best kids out of high school when he got here as a freshman. Could have gone pro, and decided he told the MLB, I'm coming to college. Like, I don't care how much money you give me, I'm coming to college. And honored that commitment to Arkansas. And so these mean a really big deal. He came here to get better, but also to play against the team that he grew up watching.
And he was 2 for 12 last year, so hoping to do better against LSU this year than he did last year. And that'll be something, again, we keep our eye on all of these hitters, because, all of the guys are fun. And nice to see Ryder Helfrich last week kind of get his moment to shine, and that home run was awesome. And Jacob and I,
the gorilla, and that's all that matters.
He did get the gorilla. Cannot wait. They finally fill us in on all that gorilla stuff, so we'll have some of that coming really soon, which we're excited about. But one of the other big things too is I think that we didn't talk about yet is Gage Wood, and I think he went under the radar last weekend, but came in a pretty big situation where it was game 2 and Auburn was starting to climb back, and Matt Hobbs went out because DVH was back in Fayetteville with his daughter, who was, congratulations, had triplets last week. Very big deal.
Yes.
And Matt Hobbs went out and put Gage Wood in a really high leverage situation, and Gage got out of the jam and then pitched another really clean inning before handing the ball over to Will McIntyre to end the game. So good to see Gage kind of getting back into that groove of, hey, remember this kid? Like, he was good at one point. Everyone kind of gave up on him really fast because you see Gackle and all these other young arms.
Yeah, well, I think he just got lost in the shuffle, and we said that last week. Like, where is Gage Wood? And not that he's disappeared, but where does he, again, fit into all of the options that they have right now? And then, you bring back Ben Bybee, and that's even less time on the mound for a lot of these guys. And so, yeah, to see that from Gage is good. And, it's always interesting. There have been a couple games, probably 3, that Dave has missed. Obviously, this one last Friday, and then the 2 with his daughter's graduations that I remember. And so the responsibilities are handed off, and Matt Hobbs has done the last 2 that I remember. But is that more of Matt Hobbs saying, I still have faith in him and I'm making the decision to bring in him, as opposed to, what are the conversations being had when Dave is there? And I'm not saying that Dave wouldn't have brought in Gage Wood, but maybe this was Matt Hobbs saying, you know what, like this kid still deserves the opportunity to come in here and do what we saw him do as a freshman. So it was really good to see. That's just me kind of maybe speculating. That has got nothing into it. Just maybe it was kind of Matt Hobbs's way of saying, I'm going to go get him. Because we haven't seen him much.
Yeah. And it was a good call, and it ended up working out. And obviously they won game 2 and dropped game 3 that we've already talked about. But anyway, let's move on. We'll kind of move into one of my favorite parts of Evan tries to guess the lineup and probably gets it wrong.
You were pretty spot on. You were spot on. Game 1 against Missouri.
Yes. How did
we do against Auburn?
I went 8 for 9 last week against Auburn, and the only reason I was 8 for 9 is because I had Peyton Holt at DH instead of Souza when I said DVH. I think he leaned for experience on the road. He did not. Yeah. But I think it's going to be the same as last week. Okay. I think you're going to get Diggs, Stovall leading off at second, Diggs in right. You'll see, I think Wahiva Loy hitting 3 at shortstop.
Okay.
Hudson White is going to hit 4. That's going to be my bold take of the day. Ben McLaughlin hits 5.
What happened to McLaughlin? Okay.
No, Ben hits 5. Ben's in the lineup. Don't worry. Okay. Don't worry. Jack Wagner,
he was
though.
in the lineup. I was just finding surprised.
Yeah, I'm
not
a little
bad in cleanup.
That'll be my I see what you did there. That's a good one. That's a good one. Jared Sprague-Lott hitting 6. It'll be Nolan Souza tonight hitting 7. Wilms Meyer is going to hit 9. And I think he might give the edge to Jason Jones tonight over Ross Lovich. Lovich last week had a really bad error in that, game 2 that ultimately ended up tying the game, which was really sad to see because he kind of lost in the lights and didn't know where he was. And I'm really glad that it wasn't on not top 10, because that definitely was a not top 10 play.
When that happened,
it was not the best hog I've seen this week.
Oh man, you just your heart breaks for him because he just lost his balance and he just kind of fell.
And I've done that multiple times, and it's not fun. And I remember my senior year. It was like an early game. We were up 15-2, and I'm kind of just roaming left field, screwing around in the 5th because we're about to mercy them. And it was a shutout at the time, and this ball's hit not super hard, but the wind's blowing out, and we don't have, at my high school we play on a big oval. We didn't have a batter's eye. You can literally hit the ball, and I've hit the ball before into the softball field 400 yards away, 400 feet away. And I remember I was kind of trotting back thinking I'm under it, and it kept kind of blowing, and next thing I know I see just the ball just goes right off my glove. And that's just always the worst. That's just sad. Evan. Yeah. Lack of focus. We were up 15-0, and I blew the shutout once. I'm really sorry to all of our pitchers who I screwed over a shutout. So there's my apology 5 years later.
Yeah. But poor Lovich. So yeah, you don't know, but also too Jason Jones has always kind of answered the call when he's been asked to do so. So let him go out there and see what he does.
Yeah, would love to see too some more Ryder Helfrich this weekend. I think we saw him the other day. I don't remember off the top of my head how he hit. I don't have the stats pulled up from the Little Rock game, but he did have some runs and obviously that really big home run. So would like to see him get more at bats because we've seen the inconsistency from Parker Rowland and Hudson Polk behind the plate, where I think White's really solidified himself as catcher 1, and I think Helfrich right there right now is catcher 2, just because and with the most upside when it comes to his defense.
Yeah, and the bat, which is big. So that's important.
Absolutely. Well, Alyssa, we said we'd keep this short today. We didn't.
I know it is game day. These Thursday games are just throwing us off. So we get it though, and you know what? Baseball is never a bad thing. So no complaints.
No.
But there is our brief, exciting look ahead to LSU.
And happy Easter to everyone who celebrates.
Yeah, happy Easter to everyone.
That's I guess why these games get pushed up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is why.
I don't know. I've painted eggs maybe once in my life. I'm not an Easter guy. Well, I do not celebrate Easter, but
so everybody, if you don't know, Evan is Jewish, so it makes sense. I just didn't want people to be like, why? What's wrong with him?
Yeah.
Nothing is wrong with him.
No, nothing's wrong with
me.
Well, something's wrong with me, but that's a whole other.
Okay. Well, your lack of focus.
Yes, definitely.
You're like Lovich in left field.
Sometimes I am. I'm not gonna lie. I have the moments of, what are you doing right now?
Yeah. So,
it pops
okay.
up.
We still love you, so it's fine.
Thank you. We say we're one big happy family in the Pig Troll room.
Yes,
and
we are.
Yeah. Wait till Courtney sees the surprise on her desk on Saturday.
Oh, if she
doesn't listen to all 20 minutes of this. Sure? I'm positive.
Okay.
I'm positive. Right. Courtney, if you listen this far in batting cleanup, you have a surprise on your desk. Text us. I doubt you will. Anyway, that's all we got for batting cleanup this week. Alyssa, anything else before we go?
No. Happy opening day, everybody. Go Dodgers.
Any bold prediction on World Series champs day 1 of the Dodgers. 2024? I should have known that was coming. I do like that Orioles pick. I think my World Series is Braves Orioles.
My realistic prediction is the Dodgers. My bold prediction is the Orioles.
I like that. Braves Orioles in the 2024 World Series, and I'll take the Orioles.
Kid was running
Give me
around
Adley
with
Rutschman.
a Brave shirt on the other night, and I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "Oh, it was in my closet." And so a friend of mine from college, his son is a couple years older than mine, and so they'll send me some of his old clothes, and I was like, "Zach sent that."
And it was a Brave shirt, just to get under your skin.
I don't hate the Braves. I grew up in.
You don't hate? No, you just don't like them.
I just am like, you know what? Now that they're like actually contending for World Series titles, I don't like them.
They're fine.
I liked them when they were average, but not a threat.
Yeah. I still don't really think they're fully. Well, no, they're a threat. Who am I kidding? Yeah. But I think it's going to come down to whose rotation is healthier, Braves or Dodgers.
They
but
took Freddie Freeman away.
That is also true. And if Walker Buehler comes back fully healthy and Clayton Kershaw can be like an eighth of what he once was, it's going to be really hard to bet against the Dodgers.
Anytime Walker Buehler wants to come back, that'd be great. Buehler. He's still on his day out. He needs to come back.
His day off's been a really long time, but that's what happens.
It's been a long time off.
That's what happens when you get Tommy John surgery and they have to literally repair your entire elbow.
I get it. It's just, we miss you, bud. Come back to us.
You don't have to, Walker. It's okay. It's fine. The Cubs are going to win the NL Central by winning like 84 games because the NL Central is so bad.
Now you're getting delusional.
Why? I'm saying the Cubs are going to win 84 games. Yeah, I do need to go take a nap. Anyway, that's batting cleanup. We'll see you all next week.
See ya.